Hello.
So I'm so glad she's on my couch.
Happy to be here.
Yes, and this is a new series that I'm starting actually, and you're my first guest. Aren't you excited?
I am excited.
Yeah, so she didn't know that actually until just now.
I just found out.
Yeah, so
I'm honored.
Yes. So like basically we're going to do like some lifestyle videos and things like that. Because on my channel is not just about beauty like from the outside, but I think beauty from the inside and being a confident woman or like a confident person in general is very important. And well, I really like to sort of talk about different topics and different areas that I like to cover. So these are like little things that I'm interested in as well. So I met Lindsey here in Bangkok. She's all the way from Canada. Yes. So we went for an event together. Actually we didn't go for an event together. I went for a workshop where she was doing the workshop. So she was the main star and I was actually like 10 minutes late and I was like, oh no, I'm here, hi. And so, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I came for that workshop. And I told you that because she did a workshop all about public speaking. And so just basic stuff that she touched upon, and I thought that was really great because I mean, I do a lot of public speaking now. Because of my workshops and things like that. When I go back to Sri Lanka, I do a lot of workshops and I'm hoping to do some here as well about beauty and stuff. So these kind of tips that she was giving sort of resonated in me, although like maybe I would not even find myself hard to talk in public. I'm okay, but I used to not be like that, as I told you. When I was younger, I used to be like very scared to stand up in class and even introduce myself. I would be like, it's me next, I can't do it.
And so many people feel that way. Public speaking is a major phobia all around the world.
Yeah, and like I think what people like get wrong is like that public speaking is only about speaking to like 100 people. It's not about that. So that's why we wanted to put it on my channel, because it's even about speaking to 2 people. You know, if you're in a business meeting sometimes and you have an idea, and sometimes you're like, I can't say anything, so I'm just not going to say anything. So sometimes you have some great ideas and then it doesn't get around. So this was the sort of workshop that she was doing, and I was like, wow, you know, I mean, some of these things are really interesting, and some of these things I didn't even think I was doing, and then I was like, oh right, okay, that's why I'm doing these things. So it made a lot of sense as to why I wanted to invite you to be here. And so Lindsey and I have become actually really good friends, chatting on like Facebook and whatever, and then all of that. So today what we're going to do is Lindsey is going to take over my channel, and then she's going to talk to you about all about what she knows about public speaking. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself, other than the introduction I gave, which was my sort of how I met her and things like that. So Lindsey, why don't you take over, and then you tell us first who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go on with your tips and tricks for public speaking.
Okay, thanks Rosh.
No problem.
So happy to be here today. As Rosh said, I'm from Canada, and I've been working in Southeast Asia for 4 years. And I've always worked for different international organizations, and that's involved a lot of public speaking. Sometimes running workshops for groups of 20, 30, sometimes speaking to government officials, 100, 200. And I'm really passionate about how we can make the most of these opportunities to communicate in a way that's more impactful, a way that's more effective. And for me, I also love theater, as you may be able to tell by waving my hands around and my weird facial expressions. So I think we can draw from theater in terms of the techniques for how we engage an audience and use that in our own public speaking. Like Rosh said, whether it's in a meeting with a few of your colleagues or whether it's presenting to a large audience. So we're going to talk about a few different things today that I covered in the workshop that Rosh came to, and I'm so glad you came and we got to meet there.
I know.
And I think one of the most important things is to know your audience. Who are the people who you're talking to? What do they already know about your subject? Where are they coming from? What's their background? Is their first language the same language that you're speaking? What is their preferred way of communicating? Is it mainly visual? Are you using some videos? Are you doing something interactive? Will they be comfortable with that? The more you know about your audience, the more you can design your presentation or your workshop to best connect with them. And a major question that we all need to ask ourselves whenever we're doing any kind of public speaking is, how is what I'm going to share useful for my audience?
Right. I don't think a lot of people think that, right?
Right, because we get so caught up in being scared, being worried about
what's my contact, what's my next point, here are my 5 cue cards.
Right, I forget what I'm going to say, or how do I look, what are people thinking, are they judging me?
Yeah.
And we forget to think about the audience. So I think one good way of overcoming that fear and anxiety about public speaking can be to think about, how am I helping my audience?
Because I think you think too much about yourself. Right?
Exactly. And you were saying that you used to be really scared of public speaking.
I used to be.
And how did you feel in those moments?
Oh my goodness. Like when I stood up in class and I'm like, one, I was jittering. Like, I didn't know what I was saying. And then second thing, I had like, so that's third person, second person, first person, and it's me. And I'm like, okay, my name is Roshini. I'm from Sri Lanka. You know, things like that. Yeah. But then suddenly, and we were discussing this, suddenly I just couldn't speak. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure that out. But then I think I just let go of my fear. I thought, you know what, I can do this. I think a part of me, you just have to be confident enough in certain ways to just give up that fear. I mean, there are so many fears I can't give up on, like you've never seen me on top of a mountain or something. I mean, I can't do it. But this is gradual steps, you know. But then I realized when I went to university that I had to sort of make presentations, and this fear was holding me back. I had things to say, and I had points to get across. And then I decided slowly to step into the water a little bit, and then it became okay, and better and better and better. Even with my channel, I think at the beginning, I wasn't this interactive, I wasn't this comfortable. I used to fret about what I'm going to say, and now I just sit in front of a camera and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say something, and everyone's going to be okay with it, because like, you know, why not? I'm on my couch, I'm comfortable, and I'm like, you know, and I never really prepare what I'm going to say for like my intros or whatever. Like especially I just prepare like the makeup look, like what colors I'm using and all of those stuff, and like my outfits and things like that, but I don't really prepare like word to word, and then I feel then you become blank. Like you look blank because you're not convincing, and there's no conviction in what you're saying. So I think that's something. But definitely your first point is so important, because you don't think about your audience, and then you just get lost in what you need to say, and then it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So how could they think, how can they find out like who their audience is? Do you have any tips and tricks and things
So
like that?
if you're invited to speak to a group, then you want to ask from the beginning, who are these people? Why are they coming together? Do they already know each other, or are they new to one another? And you want to find out what you usually do when you gather with this group. What other topics have you covered? So that you can get a good sense of why that group is meeting and what value you can add. And then as you're planning a presentation, keep reiterating that main point about what you're sharing that helps your audience. And part of that is giving them something that they can do immediately, something they can take away. And this is something we're going to talk about in a second video that we do, with some concrete ways of practicing how you can deliver your message. But knowing your audience and knowing what the value is that you are adding. How are you helping them? Because that can get us out of that fear inside our own heads. And I think as women especially, we can really struggle with a lot of those feelings around judgment, criticism, rejection. And for many of us, we're not always raised with strong messages about using our voice, speaking up. And that can make public speaking all the more challenging.
All the more challenging for women, I think so too. And I think a lot of my audience are women who are watching my channel, and I think it's very important to understand, if you have a message to say, then voice your opinion. Stand up for what you believe in. And sometimes those kind of little things could be with 3 of your friends, and maybe you're just scared to say it and know how you're going to say it, or things like that. So I think it's very important. So let's move on to more tips and stuff that you want to discuss with them.
Yes. So often when we're public speaking, we fall into some habits that we think will make us get through what we're saying even faster. So that might be reading everything so you know you're not going to miss anything, or it might be talking as quickly as you can. I'm just going to get it all. I just want to get it done as soon as possible. But what is your audience getting out of that? Nothing. And I'm sure you've all heard speakers who from the beginning make you nervous as an audience member. They get up there, they're shuffling the papers, they look very uncomfortable, they start and you feel nervous for them.
That's so true. As an audience member, I've seen people who are shuffling through papers and I'm like, oh my god, I feel kind of bad for that person. Like, and like nervous for them, and then like nothing they say matter anymore, because now we're looking at them even more than if they were just like coming and telling a message. I'm not listening to their message anymore, because now I'm like, why is she so nervous? Or why is he so nervous? Like, why is he so what?
Right, you're worrying for them, so you're not paying any attention to what they're saying. You're just thinking, okay, get through it. You do not look happy up there. So part of practicing what you're going to say, thinking about that key message and knowing what you're sharing with your audience that will help them can be a way of projecting more confidence, which in turn makes your audience feel more comfortable and pay more attention to what you're saying, which is the whole goal of speaking in the first place.
You're right. I think then they do pay attention to what you're saying rather than, I think when you get distracted into who, like if they look so nervous, you get distracted into who they are, and then you start wondering, what's that belt he's wearing? What's those shoes they're wearing? Like, you start to like wonder, like, your mind was all over the place, right? Because you're not concentrating on what on earth this person is saying. And of course, the speaking fast thing, and you're like, huh?
Yes.
Hold on. What did you say again?
And then you tune out.
Yeah.
And the same with using filler words like and ah. As an audience member, you just start to count those words and go, oh, again, I'm here.
Okay, that I have a problem with as well.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
Because I mean, I always say, I think my filler words are and like.
And like is a big one.
Like,
yes.
oh my god. I say, oh my god, like.
Right, these are the words we fall back on when we're searching for what we're going to say next, because it's scary to have silence.
Yeah, so what would you do? Like,
what you need to do is to practice the power of the pause. And it does feel awkward.
Right.
It can feel very strange to have a moment of quiet, but it's also very powerful.
okay.
Because
so you would tell them to just pause.
I would
rather
say
than go,
pause, yes.
So, I'm going to today...
yes, I would say pause, think, and speak.
Okay.
Embrace that power of the pause.
Right. So say something with a pause, okay.
So what I want you to think about is how powerful it can be when you pause. It can be a small pause, it can be a big pause, but when you take that moment to just stop, people pay attention. Because they might worry you forgot what you were going to say, but then when they see that you are confident in that moment,
right,
they lean forward, they pay attention because they think, what's coming next?
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a really good tip, because I think a lot of people do struggle with it, although I can get up there and stop speaking and things like that. I also like mumble sometimes. I say like a lot. Like if someone counted or did like a drinking game with it, I'm sure they get really drunk. So again, I think we've got into a habit of doing that, so it's very, very difficult to stop. Sometimes it's not just the lack of confidence or you forgot what you're going to say. Sometimes it's just become such a bad habit.
Exactly.
So you need to sort of reprogram yourself.
Yes. And that
practice.
starts with being aware of when you're doing it. So you already know that you sometimes rely on and ah or like.
Yes.
So you notice when you're doing it. And that is the most important first step. Because once you start to notice it, it will start to irritate you. I did it again.
Now my audience are going to be like, every time I say they're going to be like, there she said it, there she said it, there she said it.
No, focus on the message. The wonderful things that Rosh has to tell you.
So yeah, so that's a great second point. I think a lot of people do struggle with that, and then you gave them a really good sort of answer. You know, how you can, because the whole point of talking about these problems is also to come up with some sort of solution.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I mean, otherwise this video is just reiterating problems.
Yes, and that's
Which we
not so
all-
helpful.
No, we all have them. I mean, how are we going to fix them?
Exactly. And if you're preparing a presentation where you're doing it in advance, it's good to think about how you're transitioning from one idea to the next, because that's often where we rely on filler words between different ideas and when we're getting started. So if you practice a strong opening and think about how you'll transition from one idea to a next, and actually practice that in front of a mirror. Don't just write it down and read it over or prepare your slides. Do it in front of the mirror. Listen to yourself say it, and listen to those points where you are suddenly jumping into an or an ah. Identify those points so that you'll be more aware of it when you are doing the presentation. You can even have in your notes, pause. Idea 1, pause. Idea 2, that's okay. It will feel forced at the beginning, but it will help you get comfortable with embracing the power of silence.
Yes. And then I have another question for you, something that actually popped up to my head right now. What do you think of, you know, using slides and then being so dependent on them? Because I don't like it when speakers do that, when lecturers do that, when teachers do that. I don't know anyone who's up there speaking and they're just reading out. So here's 3 points. Point number 1. And then
It's the worst.
It's horrible when they do that. A lot of people, like I think 70-80% of people I've seen presenting, they do that. And then recently I went for a public speaking sort of competition, you know, and then no, I wasn't taking part, I was just watching because I had a friend or two taking part, and then in that I saw girls and boys just reading out. I'm like, why are you even taking part in this? Is what I thought, because I'm like, you're just reading out a couple of slides. You have 11 slides and you read 11 slides. And I'm like, that's horrible. Like, so we need to tell people that I don't think that's a very good idea, right? I mean,
that's a great point. Yes, you cannot engage your audience if you're always looking back here at your slides, or even if your slides are in front of you on the laptop and you're looking down here and reading everything. Ideally, your slides should have just a few keywords and perhaps some kind of image. Because if you have a lot of text on there, even if you're not relying on reading it, your audience will be
reading it. Yeah.
They won't be listening to you because they'll be reading everything. And that is a habit that so many of us had. I've seen so many presentations where the slides are chock full of text.
So many. And like colors and different, like there's so much jargon on that. I'm just like, even in work settings, in anything. And some of the work settings, like, or to be honest, I have seen very big companies with big executives who come and present, and they have these horrible slides which they read out of. And as you said, forget about the person who's talking, that slide has so much of information. And I'm like, these are big companies, very disappointing to see that it's that bad, because I mean, these are things that I would think matter.
Yes.
You know, a lot of PR companies, a lot of marketing companies have seen, and a lot of executives. So maybe this is something you should work on. Don't feel like if you do this that we're insulting you. But I think it's something you should definitely think about. It's just to help you, because I think if you are someone who puts a lot of stuff on a slide, it's not going to help you. The message is not really getting across. No one's listening to you. Everyone's reading that.
Yes.
And reading too much of it is it just makes no sense. Then you can just give them a printed out like leaflet, or
right. It goes back to that idea of thinking, I just need to get all this information across. Doesn't matter how I do it, I just need to deliver all of this. When really we want it to be an experience. There's a quotation that I love that's been attributed to a lot of different people, but essentially it says, people may forget what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I think the way you make your audience feel is such an important part of public speaking. Even if the information you're delivering is very dry, you can still take them on a journey by starting strong, by having clear points, and by understanding how what you're saying is helping them.
Right. Because I think that's what happened with you as well. The minute you were speaking, I was like, what? Wow. I stopped and I was like, huh. I'm really impressed. No, because she does really speak really well, and then of course she's sitting today. She was standing. It's even better when she's standing. Okay? I wish my camera we could just stand and do this thing.
And I've been moving around.
Yeah, moving around, and she's like this, that, and like I loved your exercises, which we'll talk about in our second video.
Yes.
So I mean, I was really impressed, and I think it was a feeling that you left behind. It didn't matter if you were talking about public speaking or if you were talking about refrigerators that night. You could be talking about anything, and I would be like, wow, interesting. You know, and I was very engaged, and I think that's what you need with an audience, right?
Exactly, yes. And so the more we're thinking about how we're engaging our audience, the more we can step out of those feelings of insecurity about how we're doing as public speakers and focus on how we're benefiting the people we're talking to.
Right. Would you, when you stand up there, do you always wonder, oh my God, that person's not really listening?
Of course, especially with our mobile phones, right? Because you can tell people, please put your phones away, but they're not going to. They're not going to. We love our phones. We have them all the time.
Yes.
So it's your job as the speaker to be engaging enough that people want to put down their phones, or that if they have them, they're videoing you, or they're making notes about what you're saying.
I think so too, because if I'm watching a really great movie at the theater, I've just noticed I don't even open my bag once to look at my phone, which is on silent. But of course, like sometimes it's a boring movie, I'm like, yeah, watching the movie, but I'm just gonna check out Instagram. You know what I mean? But like, that means that shows something, right? If you're really engaged in the movie, you don't even remember to check your phone if you got a missed call. It doesn't really matter. So it's just like that in public speaking. When someone is engaging you, even in a classroom setting, if you're a teacher, if you're like someone who wants to, I know a lot of teachers have this struggle, especially with, you know, even college students who just do not listen, and then you can't really force them. There are some teachers who go around taking the cell phones, but is that really effective? I don't know. I don't know, because I mean, the kids are going to get pissed. they're gonna be like, you took my phone, I hate you. You know? You took my social media away.
Yeah, I do not envy teachers.
No, I
trying
don't.
to run a classroom
It's
with
so hard
phones.
nowadays, right? I mean, it's so hard. I think back in the day that I was in school, we were not allowed to bring mobile phones to school. I went to a very strict school. But I think that's good. I think we shouldn't have taken mobile phones to school when we were teenagers and be able to be like, let's just WhatsApp everybody and say how boring my class is.
Yeah,
Like, you
and I
know?
think now teachers are trying to find ways to integrate the use of mobile phones into some lessons where you can be looking things up, but it's always going to be a challenge.
So what would you do? I mean, if you see people sort of not really laughing at your jokes, I mean, that could be very, I know, I mean, even I just feel like, I don't think it has happened too much to me, but sometimes you just cannot get their attention. You know, sometimes I just want to, hey, you, but I can't. So, what would you feel like, and how would you overcome? Like, what would you do? Is there anything you could do?
It's always discouraging if you look out at an audience and people are staring at you blankly or looking at their phones. I think one thing that can help is to plan different activities in the course of your presentation. That's not always possible depending on the size of the audience and the way the room is set up.
Right.
But I really like to build in some time when people are either discussing something with the people sitting around them, or sometimes even some sort of interactive activity with a smaller group like we did at the workshop, where there were times when we were breaking into small groups and practicing different things. Sometimes there's an opportunity for people to come up and share a story or experience of their own. So the more that you can give your audience something to do besides only listening, the more that they'll stay engaged, because it's not the same thing for the whole 1 hour, 2 hours, however long it is. You're changing it up, and that can be a really powerful way of keeping people invested, because we know our attention span is very short these days.
Yeah, I know, it is. That's a problem.
It is an extra challenge for public speakers, but trying different activities can be a really good way of giving you a bit of a break as the speaker, because it gives you a chance to say, okay, now in groups of 5, I want you to discuss this and come up with 3 tips based on your own experiences with this topic. And then you have a few minutes to review your notes, prepare for what you're going to do next, because of course things are going to come up in the course of doing a presentation or workshop that you weren't expecting. And that's never pleasant, but you need to be able to roll with it.
So now we're gonna roll with what you just said, and I remember technical difficulties.
Yes, exactly.
So, like your screen behind will go off. Okay, your mic will not work.
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do when your mic doesn't work?
It always depends on the size of the room. If it's small enough that you can project without it, then better to just continue. If not, then that's
don't look frazzled. Just be like, you know what? It doesn't work. Can someone come up and help me?
Exactly.
But now we're going to talk about, and then we can also switch to a sort of a group activity.
Exactly. That's a great time to say, talk in a small group about this while we sort out this technical glitch. But remaining calm,
confident, collected.
Easier said than done.
Yes, it's easier said than done. But I think you need to mentally prepare for these kind of things. Otherwise, you're going to be like, my mic is not working, my mic is not working.
Exactly.
The mic, the slides are not changing. Oh my god, I need to go home now.
Right.
Yeah.
You just get extra nervous, and that's when you start umming and ahhing. It all goes downhill. But knowing what you have to say, practicing it in front of a mirror so that you actually have practice saying it can be really useful. And then if you believe in what you're saying and you know how it's helping your audience, those problems that may arise can throw you off a little bit, but you'll be able to come back to what you practice, which is delivering that core message.
Right. So I think that, well, what else? Do you have any other tips that you want to talk about?
I'd like to also raise the importance of ending strong, because sometimes you do a really good presentation and then you get to the end and you say, okay, that's all, thanks.
I kind of do that. So that's a tip that I learned from her when I did go to the workshop. So all of these things you were saying, I was like, okay, so I'm good at that, I can do that, I can do that. Okay, so those are all good. And then you said ending things, and I'm like, I don't really end very well.
Right, sometimes we're so happy to get to the end, or worried about being on time, and we just finish it. Okay, thank you, bye. But that's such a letdown for an audience who you've kept engaged over the course of the presentation, and then suddenly it's just done. It's really good to sum up your key points, reiterate what you've been saying in case anyone has forgotten some of it, and then give your audience something they can do. This might be a very practical tip that they can implement in their own lives right away that could be around beauty tips like you provide, Rosh, something around time efficiency or planning their next presentation. Give them something very specific. It could also be check out these series of tips online at this website, or contact me if you want to get more information about this topic. Give them something very concrete that they can do. Because that's a lot better than just spewing information
Right.
and then saying thank you, bye.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes in a workshop setting, I do that a lot. Like when it's all done and like I've taught them how to do the makeup and now the makeup's done, I'm like, hey, I hope you guys enjoy.
Right. So you could sum it
See
up.
ya later. Let's take a selfie. I'm done now. But yeah, so I think you're right. And I think something like, I love the tip that you gave even on that day and what you just said. Give them something practical to do.
Yes. And that might be taking a very basic tip that you shared and saying, at the very least, remember that doing this simple thing with your eye makeup is really going to make your eyes
because
pop.
something I teach in my workshops is the tape trick, like, you know, putting cello tape. Yeah, I will teach you.
I need to know this.
Yes. So, I mean, even something simple as that, because that could really help you with eyeshadow, eyeliner, fallout, a lot of things. So at least if they take away, I guess, as you said, one last tip, you know,
Yes.
one thing that, okay. So
Yeah, that's really good. So they leave with that one thing in their mind.
Like, wow, she taught me that.
Right, even if they've forgotten everything else, and hopefully they haven't, you're giving them one reminder at the end that they can take away. And that can help you finish strong and have your audience feeling fulfilled by this workshop or presentation.
Yes, and I think that's important, to feel fulfilled, okay? So that's really great, and I'm so glad we could talk about this.
Me too.
Yeah, and then we're going to do a follow-up video.
Yes, with a few practical exercises around pace, pitch, pausing, and emotion.
So in about a week, so you can catch up again, and then we'll have part 2 of this. So Lindsay will be back on my couch and we will talk about all of that. So leaving you with a note will be Lindsay, not me, because clearly I'm not very good at ending things. So I mean, thank you. I'll just say this part. Thank you so much for joining us and watching our video. I hope you really do sort of find these tips helpful, and don't think this is just for, or don't zone out and think, oh, I don't need to watch this video, because maybe this is something we should have said in the beginning, but this is for everybody. But we did say that. It is, even if you're speaking in a social like setting, if you're out at a bar with a couple of friends and you don't even have like the confidence to go up to someone and say hi, maybe you're a cute boy. Maybe. So, I mean, even things like that. So, these are things that could help you, and definitely, of course, this is more for a office setting, if you're doing a presentation, or if you are a teacher, or if you are someone who has to go and present for your company or something like that. So, I will leave you with that note, but Lindsay will leave you with a better ending.
So thank you for watching today, and remember, know your audience. Find out as much as you can about them and think about how what you have to say is benefiting them, because that's the message you want to reiterate again and again through your presentation. That will help you frame the whole thing. Take your audience on a clear journey where you're separating the different ideas with a powerful pause. And at the end, sum up and give them something practical that they can do right away in their own lives. Hope that helped.
That's perfect. That is perfect. I love how you wrap it up.
Thanks.
It's perfect. So thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to go and check out our other video. And definitely leave a comment down below, and you can email me on beautybyrosh@gmail.com for any questions regarding this video and this workshop. Lindsay is more than willing to help you out if you have any questions. So you can post them down below to the comment section, or get in touch with me, and I will get you in touch personally with Lindsay. And she can give you tips and tricks, and if you have any particular questions you can ask her. She is absolutely great at public speaking, I feel, and she is a great person, so she's going to help you, don't worry about that. You can leave a comment down below. So thank you so much for watching us, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.